my Practically Imperfect life. I cannot believe this is the last video I'm gonna film before Christmas break. I cannot believe how incredibly fast this year has gone by. Well, today I thought I would just take you along. I've got some things that I wanted to get done in preparation for a Christmas that we're hosting here at our house. And I'm sure many of you are in the same situation where maybe you're having people over on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, or maybe multiple days. We do Christmas morning here at my house. My mom's side of the family comes over, I make a big breakfast spread, and then we do our gifts all together. And it's really just a wonderful time. It's nothing formal. You know, we're not doing like some fancy like multi-course meal or anything like that. We're not all dressed up to the nines. We're usually in our ugly Christmas sweaters and in jeans. But still, I like to try to make it as special as possible, not only to create memories for my teenagers who only have a few more years left, you know, here at home full time, but also my grandpa, my mom's dad, comes over for this, has the last couple of years since my grandma passed. And he's almost 90, and we know that his memory is really deteriorating, but he just loves coming into these celebrations. He always is commenting on the decor and the different things that there are to eat, and just the kind of the joy of having all of the family around. And I talked about this back at Thanksgiving, that, you know, when he was here, that we just are really trying to give him all of these wonderful experiences for however long we still have him with us. So I'm really trying to make it special as I can for everybody. So here is what is on the to-do. First of all, I do want to get the entire table setting done on our big dining table. We don't use that table all the time. We eat an awful lot at the counters in our kitchen, but I want to get that cleaned off and get the whole thing set up so that way it's all the way done. Emma and I went shopping, my daughter and I, we went shopping and we picked up tons of beautiful flowers, tons of them. And I want to create a really nice sort of seasonal bouquet or centerpiece to put in the middle of it. I did a lot of bouquets over the summer for my own cut flower garden, and I've really missed it, not having, you know, the ability to just walk outside and cut things and then put something together. And so it was really wonderful to get my hands on some fresh flowers, and I'm looking forward to putting that together. And if you are wondering how to put together a easy centerpiece, I mean, these are flowers I got from Trader Joe's and Kroger's, so you can get these too. I'll show you some of the tips on how it is that I put those together, because it's really easy to do once you get the hang of it. Then we've got a couple of the menu items that we can get ready in advance. I'm going to show you my homemade cinnamon rolls that I make and get prepared several days in advance, and then freeze. I'll share that recipe with you, our favorite Christmas punch, and just a couple of other things that we have around for that.
Since I've used so much red and green this year, I thought the red tablecloth would be nice for our table display. And once I got the wrinkles out, I brought out my Christmas dishes, which I got at Walmart a few years ago. I really like them. They've held up really well despite all of the abuse that our family has put them through. And I did decide to forego chargers and placemats. I just wanted a really simplified table display this year. I do like to get all of the plates placed out initially. That way I can get an idea on what kind of spacing I have available for my centerpieces and make sure things just aren't too crowded. I also have these hurricane vases. I got these at Joann's originally. If you wait for them to be on sale, they were like $4 a piece. And I'm just putting some sugar in the bottom. You could easily do the same thing, but with Epsom salts if you don't want to utilize sugar. And these Christmas candles, I've had these for years. I don't remember where they came from, but you've seen them on display in my house already. Just repurposing for the table and then getting an idea on the centerpiece spacing.
Now, as far as napkins go, I have a softer fabric napkin, which does limit kind of what I can do shape-wise. I mean, if you had a stiffer material, you could definitely do some more complex shapes, or if you really wanted to get into it, you could press different folds and things like that in it and be able to make different things. But I decided I would just do a simple poinsettia fold. I'm going to show you how to do it. And in fact, if you've ever made cootie catchers as a kid, you know those little paper things where you can go back and forth with your fingers, and it kind of, we used to do it to like tell fortunes and whatnot. This is going to be almost the same process. So I will try to adjust the camera here so you can see what I'm doing, and I'll show you how to do this fold. It's really, really simple. Once you get the hang of it, you can get them knocked out pretty quickly. Okay, I think you can see it fairly decently here, but basically start with your napkin, the wrong side facing up, and we're gonna take each corner and you're gonna bring it into the center. So we're gonna be creating a diamond shaped. And like I said, you could press this with a iron and really make some like firm seams, but I am not willing to put that much time and effort into this. So, and they honestly will hold up just fine. You saw that I had done a couple already. So I'm going to fold in all 4 corners to the center and bring them to a point. And then once I have this diamond shape, I'm going to take the corners and I'm going to fold them into the middle, and I'm going to make myself a square. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I kind of will have to hold down a little bit as I go. And then again, it's just because I'm not ironing all of these edges. But essentially you end up with a square kind of like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flip the whole thing over. Now, again, if you're not ironing, you might have to kind of hold it in place while you do this. I'm just going to do kind of a 1, 2, 3 flip. And then I'm going to take each of the corners and I'm going to fold them into the middle again to make another diamond shape. So do you see what I mean? If you ever made cootie catchers as a kid, this is going to look very, very familiar. It is essentially the exact same process. So once you have all of your points in the middle, you might have to kind of hold it in the center there. What you're going to do is you're going to reach under each edge and you're just going to pull out that little bit of fabric, and that's going to become the petal of your poinsettia, or I think the leaf, whatever they call it in the original tutorials. But basically that's going to help it hold its shape. So I'm going to pull this out on all 4 of these. And as I pull that out, the rest of the shape will hold. It's just until I get all 4 of them that I have to kind of hold it in the middle. And there you go, poinsettia fold. All summer long, I really enjoyed being able to create my own bouquets, just going outside and cutting flowers from our cut flower garden and experimenting with making different things. But in the wintertime, I had to settle for what I could find at the store. So we went shopping, my daughter and I did, to Trader Joe's and to Kroger's. I have found that they have a fantastic selection, typically of fresh flowers. So I've got a variety here. I'll kind of show you everything that I got. But first, let me talk about planters or vases if you're going to do a fresh centerpiece for your table, because obviously you want to make sure that it's not going to leak anywhere. That's probably your number one concern. You don't need a giant wet spot on your dining table. Now, I have these metal planters and I picked these up from Joann's, and I realized after experimenting with them that they are not watertight. And so that means if I just fill it up with water and add things to it, it's going to leak. And so when that's the case, you do need to prepare your vessel, whether that's a vase or a bowl or a planter, in order to make sure that your table doesn't become a sopping wet mess. Now, you can do one of 2 things. If the planter or the vase has a saucer, you could put that underneath it. This did not come with that option. So what I have done is I got a plastic bag, one that was, thick enough that I felt like it was waterproof. I made sure there were no holes, and I put that inside first. And then inside that, I will create either a frog, which is basically where you take like chicken wire and you form it up into, usually you're forming it into a ball if you're going to do a regular vase and putting it down into the vase. Or I'm using wet floral foam. I really don't like to use floral foam for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's terrible for the environment because the stuff doesn't really break down well when you go to throw it away. And second of all, it's really messy to use. When you have to cut it to fit to shape, or when you're soaking it, you just get that green stuff everywhere. But it worked for the shape of this, and I was completely out of chicken wire. So beggars cannot be choosers. So I lined this with the plastic bag, and at first the plastic bag was of course coming up and over the sides. And then I put my pre-soaked floral foam in here, and then I cut the bag down, and you could see that I could actually pull up all of the edges here, but that will get tucked down in, and then it's going to get covered by all of the flowers, so you won't see the bag at all. But that makes this watertight, and I'm not going to fill it up with excess water. What I will do is I will moisten the floral foam a couple of times between now and Christmas in order to make sure that the flowers stay as fresh as possible. So what did I pick up to use? Well, first we went to Trader Joe's. I knock things over with flowers. And Trader Joe's had white hydrangeas, and I just
I love hydrangeas. I have them planted all over my garden. They had beautiful eucalyptus and it was on sale. It was only like $4 a bundle and it looked really great. And I like eucalyptus because it has kind of a natural drapiness. So I think that will be really nice coming off the sides. And then they had some berries just to give it kind of that Christmas pop of color. Then I went over to Kroger. And Kroger had just lots of lovely things. It had white stock. I haven't seen stock in forever. I did grow this summer, really love it. And then I got white roses, I got red roses, and then my daughter said we needed baby's breath to fill. So that's what we got here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to be working on kind of determining an arrangement for the flowers here. Like I said, I am going to try to have it kind of come out more this way because I've got that amount of space on the table. And then once I get some of the greenery in, then I will start filling in with the larger flowers first, so the hydrangeas basically. And I do want to make sure it looks fairly symmetrical on both sides because people are sitting on both sides of the table. Now you do want to make sure that you are stripping off excess leaves, so anything, you know, down below, so that way those don't rot. And then also more of the water can be sent up and into the actual blooms themselves, keeping those looking as fresh. As far as how long all of these flowers will last, honestly, probably the first thing that's going to kind of kink out is going to be the roses. They just open up at a certain point and then petals will start to fall off. Now I did try to look for roses that looked as tight as possible, so they won't look super full initially, but I know that they will open up over a couple of days and probably be fairly full blooms by the time Christmas rolls around. I'm just gonna go ahead and get started and then we'll show you what it is I got done and came up with for my floral display.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo, Gloria in excelsis Deo. Come to Bethlehem and see Him whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee Christ the Lord, the newborn King.
Oh, the lighting in here just does not do this justice, but I love how this turned out. I did end up using every single flower, every single one. And I really wanted to try to do some groupings of some of the colors as opposed to having them just all spread out all over the place. But I mean, it's just perfect. I mean, look at this. It spreads out across the table like I wanted it to, but it doesn't come too far towards anybody's plates. And I tried to get it as symmetrical as I could. You know, they're flowers. They're going to do what they want. So I just, I love it. I loved working with stuff that was fresh again. It felt so good to be playing around with it, but just really, really happy with this. I'll show you the other side here too. So again, lighting is terrible. My apologies, but it's just super, super happy with this. So I just got to make sure that the floral foam stays damp between now and Christmas. So probably once a day, I'm going to go ahead and I'll pour some water in there. I've got just a little tiny watering can so I can kind of get in between and make sure I'm actually just getting the floral foam wet. But these should last through Christmas. Like I said, the roses are usually the first thing to go because these ones will open up more. And you probably saw that I already took off some outer petals on the white roses. White roses just tend to start to kind of get brown on their outer petals pretty quickly, but just pop those off and then they're all good to go. But Love it. I think it looks very festive, and I cannot begin to think about how much this would have cost if I got it from a florist. And instead, I bought bouquets for anywhere from like $5 to $7 at the grocery store and put them all together. And so here is where I'm at with my table. Now I'm not going to put silverware out yet because we used that already, but I will throw that out there obviously the morning of, and we'll have the candles lit. I think that'll look lovely. And then I have like a couple of little like greenery pieces. I'm tempted to put one in the middle of these, or I might go with like green Andy, like the green wrapper Andes mints, just to put a little something in the middle of each plate. We won't put like cups and stuff out because we're gonna have a bunch of different drinks, including like the coffee bar open. So people will have different kinds of glasses, but all in all, this is what we've got set. So I think it's pretty and festive without being too much for a family gathering. But that centerpiece, guys, I'm so in love.
Well, finishing up that centerpiece and then the cleanup afterwards took a little longer than I anticipated, but that's kind of how projects go sometimes. And we actually need to leave here shortly to go to our last basketball games before our Christmas break. So I probably won't get around to doing any more of the cooking prep until after we get back, and that'll be rather late, or I'll work on it tomorrow. But either way, the prep that I'm going to do in advance really helps, so that way I don't have a ton that I need to do Christmas morning other than pop things in the oven. So I thought I'd just go through our menu really quick, talk about some of the things that I will get done in advance, and I will link all of the recipes that I use down below for you in the description box. So the first thing that the family always asks me to make are my homemade cinnamon rolls. Now I've been using the same recipe for years. It's never failed. They always turn out great. Everybody loves them. They're just that perfect mix of like a golden brown cinnamon roll, but that's still like just like that melt in your mouth flavor. And then I do a cream cheese frosting to go along with them as well. Now what I like about this recipe is that you can get it prepared and have it to a point where, like I said, all you have to do is pop it in the oven Christmas morning. And you can make these well in advance, freeze them, and then just pull them out the night before so they can defrost. So it's like most bread recipes, there's 2 rises to it. You make your initial dough, you let that rise, and then you're actually going to form your cinnamon rolls. So rolling it out into the rectangle, adding your filling, cutting it into the roll shapes. And what I like to do, especially at Christmas time, is I will get those disposable aluminum foil pans, spray it down, and then I will put the cinnamon rolls in that, and that's what I'm going to bake them in as well as store them in. And you do an initial bake, just like 10 to 12 minutes, and what that does is it helps them to basically set their shape, so when you go to freeze them, they're not going to sink or anything like that. And I'll let them cool in the pan completely, wrap it with plastic wrap, wrap it with foil, and then just pop them in the freezer. Christmas Eve, I'll pull them out, put them in the fridge, and they'll defrost overnight. And then Christmas morning, they just need about another 10 to 15 minutes in the oven to finish cooking. And I can even prepare the frosting well in advance. You can prepare cream cheese frosting at least a week in advance. As long as you refrigerate it, it'll be fine. And then just pull it out a little bit early so that way it can start to soften up. Pop that on the warm cinnamon rolls, and you are good to go. The other thing that I like to make are egg casseroles. I actually don't follow a set recipe for these, but there's a few things that I do no matter what kind of egg casserole I'm making. Now I will make one that's kind of a meat lovers, and then I'll do one that's a vegetarian because we have family members who like both, and some of us like to eat both of them. But what I will do for either one is I'll take a 9x13 pan, spray it down, and then I will shred up anywhere from 5 to 6 pieces of bread, just whatever bread we happen to have on hand. It has never mattered which kind we use. I've used sourdough bread, wheat bread, white bread. It all works out the same. But I'll basically just kind of shred that up into cubes, put that in the bottom, and then I'll mix anywhere from 8 to 10 eggs up in a mixing bowl, and I'll scramble those up and add about half a cup of milk. And then I will put whatever toppings or filling items I want in those particular egg casseroles. So the vegetarian one, we typically will do onion, green pepper, red pepper, sliced mushrooms, and some spinach, and I'll just sprinkle that on top of the bread, and then I pour the egg mixture on top, and then I'll put some sort of a cheese on top of that. Now for the meat lovers, I'll do like diced ham, pre-cooked sausage, something along those lines. I've got both sausage and ham at the store today to put in this one, and then some sharp cheddar cheese. And then again, the egg mixture as well. So I'll get those ready the day before. So anytime on Christmas Eve, I can get those ready. Usually what I'll do is I'll do it like first thing in the morning before we go do our family festivities, Christmas Eve night. And then the next morning, those come out, and then those go in the oven for actually close to an hour, anywhere from like 45 minutes to an hour, basically until they feel done. I don't know what else to say except that they feel done. You know, they'll be pretty firm when you press down on them. If you put a toothpick in it, it'll come out clean, that kind of thing. So I will put those in the oven pretty much as soon as I wake up on Christmas morning, and then they're ready to pull out as all of the family is arriving. The other thing that we will get ready in advance are some fruit trays. We don't do anything crazy fancy. I just cut up some strawberries in advance, clean off some grapes. We usually have cantaloupe, chopped pineapple. And again, those are all things I can get ready a couple of days in advance, and then I will just put them onto the tray that I'm going to serve them on, put that in the fridge, and that's ready to pull out. As far as beverages, we have a couple of things that the family likes to have. We have this Christmas punch recipe I found, and it is a mix of ginger ale, orange juice, cranberry juice, and pineapple juice. And we easily just double that recipe because everybody loves it. It's so good. It's like that. It's sweet, but not too sweet, and it's got that great mix of all of those citrusy flavors, and just everybody loves it. My son will have glass after glass after glass of that, and I've gone to the store already. I've got the bottles of all of that, and I basically just pour it all together in a big punch bowl, ready to go. And then we do set up our coffee bar for everybody, so we will go ahead and pre-grind espresso beans down and some regular coffee. So we'll have a pot of coffee going for those who like that. We'll have espresso ready to go for anyone who wants to use our espresso machine in order to make like a latte or anything like that, because we've got the milk frother right there and a selection of different syrups. So you guys have seen my coffee bar in my kitchen. We just make sure that it is all stocked and ready to go for Christmas morning. Now, the one thing that I am going to have to actually like start to prepare Christmas morning is called $1 Million or candied bacon. Now, this is such a great way to cook bacon because I hate cooking bacon on the stovetop because it makes a mess. Always makes a mess. But if I can bake it in the oven, it feels like that mess is much more contained. And this bacon, you use a thick sliced bacon, and then you create basically a rub for it, and it's brown sugar, maple syrup, and then you do like a little bit of cayenne pepper, and you can do like pepper flakes. So you get that sweet but slightly spicy mix. It's so good. You put that on the bacon, and then you bake it for like 20 to 30 minutes, and the bacon comes out nice and crispy, and then it's just got that kind of candied coating on it. It's so good. So I will link all of those recipes down below for you if you'd like to try any of them for Christmas. None of them are hard. Even the cinnamon roll recipe, yes, it's a little more involved with like the prep because you've got to make the dough and do the rise and all of that jazz. But if you have any experience making bread, you'll have no problem with it whatsoever. So if you have any family favorite recipes that you do every year for Christmas, please share them down below in the comments. I always love to check out new recipes. We love to try new things. Granted, like our Christmas breakfast tends to be the same thing year after year because that's what everybody asks me to make. So that is what our plan is for now. And I'll wrap things up there so I can head out the door and go cheer my kids on at their basketball game. I thank you guys so much for joining me for today's video. I really hope you've enjoyed all of the Christmas content this year. I've had so much fun sharing with you guys everything from the baking to the decorating to the things we've been doing as a family and even the things we've changed up in our homeschool. We really enjoyed doing the Christmas Around the World study, and so many of you reached out and had me share that with you, and I hope that has been helpful and a blessing to your homeschools as well. I hope you guys all have a very Merry Christmas. God bless you all.